The massive ship hung in the darkness of space like a metal mountain. Inside, Admiral Deho stood tall, his forearms clasped behind his back as he stared at the main screen. Stars blinked back at him, countless tiny lights in the black void. "Admiral, we have completed the scan of Sector 7B, said Officer Moon, his voice steady as his fingers danced across the control panel. Deho nodded. His skin, the pale blue of all Takari, seemed to glow under the ship's lights. "Show me the results." The screen changed. Now it showed a solar system with 8 planets circling a yellow star. One of the planets was marked with a flashing green dot. "We found only one habitable planet in this sector," Moon explained. "The third planet from its star. It has liquid water, breathable air, and moderate temperatures. Perfect for colonization." "What about civilization?" Deho asked. His eyes narrowed. The Takari Empire had conquered over 200 worlds in the last 1,000 years. Some had been empty, others had simple life forms. A few had intelligent beings who now served the Empire. Moon pressed more buttons. "The planet has one dominant species. They call themselves humans. Their technology is primitive." "How primitive?" "They have basic space travel, but only within their own system. They have not discovered faster than light travel. Their weapons are chemical-based with some nuclear capabilities. Nothing that could threaten our ships." Deho smiled. This would be an easy conquest. Another jewel for Empress Suji's crown. Another step in the endless expansion of the Takari Empire. "Prepare a full report for the Empress," he ordered. "I want to present this world to her at the next council meeting." "Yes, Admiral," Moon said. "But there is something strange about this planet." Deho turned to look at his officer. "Strange? Explain." Moon looked uncomfortable. "The planet is within range of 3 other spacefaring civilizations, the Volturi, the Kree, and the Asgard. All have technology that would allow them to reach this Earth, but none have attempted to claim it. Perhaps they haven't discovered it yet." "That's not all, sir." Moon's voice dropped lower. "We found warning beacons at the edge of the solar system." "Warning beacons?" Now Deho was truly interested. In all his years of service to the Empire, he had never encountered warning beacons except around dangerous natural phenomena, black holes, radiation zones, unstable stars. "Yes, sir. 3 different types, each placed by a different civilization, all with variations of the same message." Moon pressed another button, and the translations appeared on the screen. "Danger. Do not approach. Planet Earth protected. Turn. Back. Humans not to be disturbed by order of the Galactic Council. Warning extreme danger. Contact with Earth strictly forbidden." Deho read the warnings twice. "Have you verified these are authentic?" "Yes, Admiral. The beacons are genuine and have been in place for at least 200 years. This was puzzling. Why would advanced civilizations place warnings around a planet with primitive technology? What could possibly be dangerous about these humans? "Keep this information restricted for now," Deho ordered. "Continue monitoring the planet, but maintain our distance. I want to know more before we make our report to the Empress." 3 days later, Admiral Deho stood before Empress Suji in the grand throne room of the Imperial Palace. The room was vast, with high ceilings and walls made of precious metals harvested from 100 conquered worlds. The Empress sat on a throne made of crystallized star matter, glowing with inner light. Empress Suji was the 47th ruler of the Takari Empire. Her skin was the deepest blue, almost purple, a sign of the purest royal blood. Her forearms were adorned with jewels, and her eyes were sharp as she looked down at her most trusted admiral. "You have a new world for me, Admiral?" Her voice echoed in the large room. Deho bowed low. "Yes, Your Majesty. A planet called Earth in Sector 7B, rich in resources, habitable, with only one dominant species at a pre-galactic development stage." "Excellent." The Empress smiled. "What forces do you require for conquest?" "That is what I wish to discuss, Your Majesty." Deho hesitated. We have discovered something unusual about this planet. Warning beacons have been placed around its solar system by 3 different civilizations. The Empress's smile faded. Warnings? From whom? The Volturi, the Kree, and the Asgard, Your Majesty. All warning others to stay away from Earth. Suji leaned forward on her throne. Those are all powerful civilizations. Not as powerful as the Takari, of course, but not insignificant. What do your instincts tell you, Admiral? I believe there is more to these humans than our initial scans suggest, Deho said carefully. I recommend we send a small intelligence team to gather more information before planning any invasion. The Empress was silent for a long moment. Then she laughed, the sound sharp in the quiet room. Are you afraid, Admiral Deho? Afraid of a species that hasn't even left its own solar system? Deho stiffened. No, Your Majesty. I am simply being cautious. The Takari Empire was not built on caution, Suji said, her voice cold. It was built on courage and strength. We do not fear. We conquer. She stood, all 4 arms extended in the traditional pose of Imperial command. You will prepare an invasion fleet. 100 warships should be more than enough for a primitive world. I want Earth added to my empire within 1 rotation cycle. Deho knew better than to argue. He bowed again. As you command, Your Majesty. Later that night, Deho sat alone in his quarters, studying everything their scans had revealed about Earth. The more he learned, the more puzzled he became. Earth was indeed a strange planet. While most habitable worlds in the galaxy had stable, gentle environments, Earth was chaotic. It had extreme weather, hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards. It had active volcanoes and frequent earthquakes. Its gravity was stronger than most inhabited planets. Its plant and animal life was incredibly diverse, with many dangerous predators. And then there were the humans themselves. Unlike the uniform appearance of most intelligent species, humans came in different colors and sizes. They lived in every environment on their planet, from frozen wastelands to burning deserts. They had thousands of different languages and cultures. Most troubling of all, humans seemed obsessed with conflict. Their history was a long record of wars and violence. Even now, with their entire planet at risk from climate change and resource depletion, they fought among themselves. What kind of species evolves in such conditions? Deho wondered aloud. And why would 3 advanced civilizations warn others to stay away from them? He made a decision. Despite the Empress's orders, he would send in a small team first. Commander Jin, his most trusted intelligence officer, would go to a nearby trading hub and gather information from other species who might know more about Earth. It was a risk. The Empress did not tolerate disobedience. But something about those warning beacons troubled Deho deeply. After 500 years of military service, he had learned to trust his instincts, and his instincts told him that Earth was dangerous in ways that their scans could not reveal. He pressed a button on his desk. Send Commander Jin to my quarters immediately. I have a special mission for him. The Grand Throne Room was silent as Admiral Deho finished his report. Empress Suji sat motionless, her 4 hands gripping the arms of her crystal throne. Around her, the 12 members of the Imperial Council shifted uncomfortably in their seats. So, the Empress finally said, her voice cold, you disobeyed my direct order to prepare an invasion fleet. Instead, you sent your spy to gather stories and rumors. Deho stood tall, his blue skin shining under the bright lights of the throne room. I prepared the invasion fleet as ordered, Your Majesty. The ships are ready, but I also gathered information that might affect our strategy. Stories of human superiority, Suji said with a sneer. Tales of primitive creatures defeating advanced civilizations. Do you truly believe such nonsense? Before Deho could answer, one of the council members spoke up. It was Nari, the oldest member of the council and keeper of the imperial records. Your Majesty, if I may speak, Nari said, her voice thin with age. There is some evidence in our own historical records that supports these stories. The Empress turned her sharp gaze to Nari. Explain. 2,000 years ago, during the reign of Empress Yuun, a Takari exploration ship disappeared in an unexplored sector. The last message mentioned finding a blue planet with primitive but promising life forms. Nari's hands trembled as she consulted her data tablet. The coordinates match those of Earth. Murmurs spread among the council members. The Empress silenced them with a wave of her hand. One lost ship proves nothing, Suji said firmly. The Tekari Empire has conquered hundreds of worlds. We have the largest fleet in the galaxy. No primitive species can stand against us. She turned back to Deho. You will lead the invasion fleet to Earth. You will conquer this planet and add it to my empire. This is not a request, it is an imperial command. Deho bowed low. As you wish, Your Majesty. 3 weeks later, Admiral Deho stood on the bridge of the Imperial Dreadnought, Eternal Glory, the largest warship in the Tekari fleet. Around him, 500 warships moved in perfect formation as they approached the edge of Earth's solar system. We are approaching the warning beacons, Admiral, Officer Moon reported from his control station. Ignore them, Deho ordered. Continue on course. The massive fleet moved past the beacons, their warning lights blinking uselessly into the void of space. For 7 days they traveled toward the inner planets of the solar system, moving at sublight speed to avoid detection. Admiral, Commander Jin said quietly, standing beside Deho at the main viewport. Do you believe we are making a mistake? Deho kept his eyes on the stars ahead. My beliefs are irrelevant. We have our orders. And if the stories are true? If these humans are as dangerous as they say? Then the Tekari Empire will face its greatest challenge. Deho replied, his voice steady. And we will either triumph or fall. As they passed the gas giant Jupiter, their sensors detected something unusual. Admiral, I'm picking up energy readings from Jupiter's moons, Officer Munn reported, his voice tense. They appear to be artificial structures, quite advanced. Deho frowned. Impossible. Our initial scans showed no human presence beyond their own planet, and a small station orbiting their moon. The readings are clear, sir, and they're active. Power signatures, communication signals. Munn looked up from his console, his eyes wide. Sir, I think they know we're here. Before Deho could respond, a message came through on all communication channels. The voice spoke in perfect Tekari language. Tekari Fleet, this is Admiral Han of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered restricted space. State your intentions immediately. Silence fell over the bridge. The humans not only knew they were coming, but they knew who they were and could speak their language. Deho recovered quickly. This is Admiral Deho of the Tekari Empire. We come to claim your world in the name of Empress Suji, ruler of the 47 systems. Surrender now, and your people will be treated fairly under Tekari law. There was a pause, then the human voice returned, now with a tone of amusement. Admiral Deho, we appreciate your offer, but we must decline. Earth is not available for conquest. Please turn your fleet around and return to Tekari space. Anger flashed through Deho. These primitives dared to refuse the mighty Tekari Empire. You misunderstand, human. This is not a negotiation. We have 500 warships armed with planet-killer weapons. You cannot hope to resist. We've been watching you for some time, Admiral. The human replied calmly. We know all about your empire, your technology, your tactics. We've been preparing for this moment for centuries. Deho looked at Jin, whose expression showed the same shock he felt. How could the humans have been watching them? The Tekari had only discovered Earth a few months ago. You are bluffing, Deho said into the communicator. Our scans show your technology is centuries behind ours. What your scan showed is what we wanted you to see, Admiral Han replied. Allow me to give you a demonstration. Suddenly, the Yao main screen lit up with warning signals. All around Jupiter's moons, massive structures were powering up. Space stations, weapons platforms, and what appeared to be a large fleet of ships emerging from hidden bases. Sir! Officer Munn shouted, panic in his voice. I'm detecting over 1,000 warships launching from bases on Jupiter's moons, Mars, and even from the far side of Earth's moon. Deho stared at the screen in disbelief. How had they missed this? The humans had not just a planetary defense force, but a full interplanetary military presence. Admiral Han, Deho said, trying to keep his voice steady, "It seems we have underestimated your capabilities." "A common mistake when dealing with humans," Han replied. "We've had faster-than-light travel for over 300 years. We've just kept it quiet. We prefer to let potential invaders think we're an easy target. It saves us the trouble of having to destroy them when they realize their mistake and run." Jin stepped forward. "Admiral, our forward scouts report the human ships are surrounding us. Their weapon systems are locked on our fleet." Deho faced a decision no Takari admiral had faced in 10,000 years. Retreat or fight against an enemy that might actually defeat them. Pride and duty warred within him. The Takari never retreated. But they had never faced an enemy like this, one that had hidden its true strength and laid a trap for them. "Admiral Han," Deho said finally, "it seems we have a misunderstanding. Perhaps we could arrange a diplomatic meeting to discuss." He was interrupted by an urgent call from the engine room. "Admiral, our main drive is not responding. Something is interfering with our systems." Similar reports began coming in from across the fleet. Weapon systems offline, engines failing, communications jamming. "What we're demonstrating," Han's voice came through clearly despite the communication problems affecting the Takari ships, "is just one of our defensive technologies. A targeted electromagnetic pulse that affects only your specific power signatures. Don't worry. Life support and basic functions will continue. We're not monsters." Deho felt cold dread settle in his stomach. The humans had not just prepared for an invasion. They had prepared specifically for a Takari invasion. They knew exactly how to disable their technology. "What do you want?" Deho asked, knowing he had no choice but to listen. "I'd like to invite you personally to Earth," Han replied. "Just you, as a representative of the Takari Empire. We can discuss the terms of a peace treaty between our civilizations. Your fleet will remain here, unharmed but contained, until our discussions are complete." Deho looked around the bridge. His officers waited for his decision. The mighty Takari fleet was now helpless, caught in a trap sprung by a species they had thought primitive. "I accept your invitation, Admiral Han," Deho said finally. "I will come to Earth." As he ended the communication, Deho wondered what Empress Suji would say when she learned that her invincible fleet had been defeated without a single shot being fired, and he wondered what other surprises the humans had in store for him when he reached Earth. Commander Jin moved through the crowded trading station with practiced ease. Unlike most Takari, who stood out with their blue skin and 4 arms, Jin had special modifications for intelligence work. A synthetic skin covered his lower set of arms, making them appear as simple folds in his clothing. His blue skin was now a muted gray, similar to many other species in this part of the galaxy. The trading station Nexus 7 orbited a gas giant at the edge of neutral space. Here, dozens of species from across the galaxy came to trade goods and information. It was the perfect place to learn more about Earth without drawing attention. Jin entered a dimly lit bar called the Cosmic Drift. The air was thick with smoke and the scent of various intoxicants. Different species sat at tables and booths, talking in low voices or staring into their drinks. He approached the bar counter where a 6-armed Zorbian was mixing drinks. "I'm looking for information," Jin said quietly, placing a small crystal on the counter. The crystal glowed with stored energy, worth a month's pay for most traders. The Zorbian's eyes widened slightly at the sight of the crystal. "What kind of information?" "I need to speak with someone who knows about the planet Earth." The Zorbian's body stiffened. 2 of his 6 hands made a quick sign that Jin recognized as a ward against bad luck. "Earth?" the Zorbian whispered. "Why would anyone want to know about that death trap?" Jin kept his face calm, though his hearts beat faster. "Death trap? It's just a primitive planet with pre-galactic technology." The Zorbian leaned closer. "There's a saying in the outer sectors. The only thing more dangerous than Earth is curiosity. About Earth, take my advice, forget you ever heard of it." Jin pushed the crystal closer. "The crystal is yours if you point me to someone who can tell me more." The Zorbian stared at the crystal for a long moment, then sighed. There's a Draxi merchant named Tay in the back booth. His people had, encounters with Earth centuries ago. But don't say I sent you. Jin nodded his thanks and made his way to the back of the bar. In the farthest booth sat a hunched figure with scaled skin and elongated features that reminded Jin of the reptiles from his homeworld. Are you Tay? Jin asked, sliding into the seat across from the Draxi. The scaled alien looked up with yellow eyes. Depends who's asking. Someone who's curious about Earth. Tay's scales seemed to flatten against his skin, a sign of fear or stress in Draxi. Then you're either brave or stupid. Which is it? Jin placed another crystal on the table. Neither. Just thorough. Tay looked at the crystal, then at Jin. You're Takari. Your kind never asks questions. You just take what you want. He narrowed his eyes. Are the rumors true? Is the Takari Empire planning to invade Earth? Jin kept his face blank. I'm just gathering information. Tay laughed, a dry rasping sound. Then let me save your empire some trouble. Stay away from Earth. Find some other planet to conquer. Why? What makes these humans so dangerous? Their technology is primitive. They can barely reach their own moon. Tay was silent for a moment. Then he drank deeply from his cup and leaned forward. My ancestors thought the same thing. 800 years ago, the Draxi Collective was expanding its territory. We found Earth and thought it would be an easy conquest. Their technology was even more primitive then. They had just discovered electricity. Jin listened carefully, recording everything with a hidden device in his eye implant. We sent 100 ships, our most powerful fleet at that time. We thought we would take the planet in days. Tay's voice grew softer. Only 3 ships returned. Jin couldn't hide his surprise. That's impossible. How could primitive humans defeat advanced spacecraft? That's what our leaders thought. So they sent a second fleet twice as large. This time, no ships returned. Tay's scales rippled with emotion. And then the humans came after us. After you? How? They captured our technology from the defeated ships. Within 50 years, a blink of time in galactic terms, they had reverse-engineered our weapons and drives. They built their own ships and found our homeworld. Tay's eyes seemed to look at something far away. They didn't destroy us completely. They could have, but they didn't. Instead, they forced us to sign a treaty that forbids any Draxi from ever approaching Earth again. Jin tried to process this information. It contradicted everything they knew about technological development. No species could advance that quickly. That's just one encounter, Jin said. Perhaps your ancestors underestimated them. It's not just us, Tay replied. Ask the Volturi about their invasion attempt 300 years ago. Or the Kree. Or the Asgard. All tried. All failed. That's why there are warning beacons around that system. Jin leaned back, thinking. What makes these humans so different? Many species have fought to defend their homeworlds. Tay seemed to choose his words carefully. Most intelligent species evolve on gentle worlds, stable climates, few predators, low gravity. Earth is different. It's what we call a death world, extreme conditions, hundreds of apex predators, natural disasters, high gravity, intense radiation from their sun. He continued, most species that evolve on such worlds don't develop intelligence. They don't need to. They develop physical strength, speed, natural weapons. But humans, Tay shuddered visibly. Humans developed intelligence in addition to physical adaptations. They can survive in any environment on their planet, from burning deserts to frozen wastelands. They can eat almost anything. They can heal from injuries that would kill most species. Jin thought about the scans they had taken of Earth, the variety of environments, the diversity of life forms. But their most dangerous trait, Tay said, is their aggression combined with cooperation. Most aggressive species don't work well together. Most cooperative species aren't aggressive. Humans are both. They fight constantly among themselves, but instantly unite against outside threats. Surely the Takari military could overcome them. Jin said, more to himself than to Tai. Tai's yellow eyes fixed on Jin. The Takari have never been defeated because you've never faced humans. Learn from others' mistakes. Stay away from Earth. Back on the Takari command ship, Admiral Dae-ho listened to Commander Jin's report with growing concern. The information matched the strange warning beacons they had found. You believe these stories? Dae-ho asked when Jin finished. I spoke to 7 different species, Admiral. All had similar warnings. Some were stories passed down through generations. Others were official historical records. The details varied, but the conclusion was always the same. Earth is not to be approached. Dae-ho turned to look at the main screen, where an image of Earth slowly rotated. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown landmasses. It looked so harmless. The Empress has ordered an invasion fleet prepared, Dae-ho said quietly. 100 warships, the most powerful force we've sent against any world. Jin's expression remained neutral, but his voice betrayed his concern. The Draxi sent 100 ships. None returned. We are not the Draxi, Dae-ho said firmly. The Takari Empire has never known defeat. Perhaps because we've never encountered humans before, Jin replied. Dae-ho was silent for a long moment. Then he made a decision. Prepare a full report with all the information you've gathered. I will present it to the Empress personally. She won't change her mind, Jin said. She sees this as a test of your loyalty. Perhaps. But I am loyal to the Empire, not just to the Empress. And if these humans are truly as dangerous as the stories suggest, then attacking them would harm the Empire. Dae-ho straightened his uniform. I must try to make her understand. As Jin left, Dae-ho stared at the image of Earth again. Such a small planet, such a young species. And yet, something about these humans had put fear into the hearts of advanced civilizations across the galaxy. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Dae-ho felt a chill of uncertainty. The Takari Empire had lasted for 10,000 years by choosing its battles wisely. Was Earth a battle they should avoid? He would soon find out. The meeting with Empress Suji was scheduled for the next day. A small human ship docked with the Eternal Glory. 4 human soldiers in sleek gray armor stepped onto the Takari ship. Their faces were hidden behind dark visors, but their body language showed no fear. Admiral Dae-ho? One of them asked, looking at the blue-skinned, 4-armed Takari commander. I am Dae-ho, he replied, standing tall. Even though he was now technically a prisoner, he would maintain his dignity as a Takari admiral. I'm Captain Song, the human said, removing his helmet. Dae-ho was surprised to see a young face with round eyes and black hair. I'll be escorting you to Earth to meet with Admiral Han. Commander Jin stepped forward. The Admiral will not go alone. I will accompany him. Captain Song shook his head. Our orders are to bring only Admiral Dae-ho. It's all right, Jin, Dae-ho said, placing a hand on his officer's shoulder. Stay with the fleet. Keep our people calm. Jin looked worried but nodded. Yes, Admiral. Dae-ho followed Captain Song and his soldiers to their ship. It was smaller than Takari vessels but sleek and clearly advanced. Inside, the technology was unlike anything Dae-ho had seen before. Clean, efficient, with interfaces that seemed to respond to thought as much as touch. Your technology, Dae-ho said as they departed his ship. It's far beyond what our scans detected. Captain Song smiled slightly. Earth has a long history of hiding our true capabilities. We learned long ago that appearing weak can be an advantage. The journey to Earth took only a few hours. As they approached the blue planet, Dae-ho gazed out the viewport in wonder. The planet was beautiful. Oceans, clouds, green lands. But what amazed him was the level of development. Space stations orbited the planet. Ships moved in organized patterns. There was even a large structure being built on the moon. This is impossible, Dae-ho murmured. Your civilization couldn't have advanced this quickly. We've had help, Captain Song replied. Some willing, some not. The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere and landed in a city Song called Seoul. Dae-ho was led to a tall building surrounded by green gardens. Inside, he was brought to a large room with windows overlooking the city. A human stood by the window, hands clasped behind his back. He turned as Dae-ho entered. "Admiral Dae-ho," the human said with a slight bow. "I am Admiral Han. Welcome to Earth." Dae-ho studied the human. Han was tall for his species, with short gray hair and a face that showed age and experience. He wore a simple dark uniform with small symbols on the collar that Dae-ho assumed indicated rank. "Your trap was well laid, Admiral Han," Dae-ho said. "You allowed us to believe you were primitive, then revealed your true strength when we were vulnerable." Han gestured to a table where they could sit. "Not a trap, Admiral. A defensive strategy. We've learned to be cautious with new species." "You speak our language perfectly," Dae-ho noted as he sat across from Han. "How is this possible?" "We've been studying the Takari for over 200 years, Han explained. "We have ships with cloaking technology that your sensors can't detect. We've observed your planets, learned your languages, studied your technology." Dae-ho felt cold shock run through him. The implications were enormous. If humans could spy on the Takari Empire without detection, they could have attacked at any time. "Why didn't you attack us first if you knew so much about us?" he asked. Han looked surprised. "Why would we attack you? Earth has a policy of non-aggression. We only fight when attacked." This didn't match the stories Dae-ho had heard about humans being naturally aggressive. "The reports we gathered suggested humans are a warlike species." Han nodded, a sad smile on his face. "We have a violent history, yes. We fought countless wars among ourselves. But that's precisely why we now avoid starting conflicts with others. We know the cost of war too well." A door opened, and another human entered carrying a device. The human set it on the table and pressed a button. A three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared in the air above the table. "This is our current understanding of the galaxy," Han said, pointing to different areas of the map. "The Takari Empire here. The Volturi Confederation here. The Draxi, the Kree, the Asgard." Dae-ho stared at the map. It showed territories and species the Takari hadn't even discovered yet. "How do you know all this?" he asked. "We trade information with friendly species," Han replied. "And we gather our own intelligence. Unlike most other civilizations, we spread out from our homeworld very quickly." Han touched the map, and it zoomed in to show hundreds of small dots scattered across different star systems. "Each of these is a human colony or outpost," Han explained. "Most are small and hidden. We have over 500 worlds with human presence, though many have populations of less than 1,000. Dae-ho couldn't believe what he was hearing. The Takari Empire, considered the largest in the known galaxy, had colonies on just 47 systems. These humans had over 500. "Why hide your strength?" Dae-ho asked. "You could have announced yourselves to the galaxy as a major power." Han leaned back in his chair. "We prefer to avoid unnecessary attention. Most species, when they discover a powerful new civilization, react with either fear or aggression. By staying quiet, we avoid conflict." The door opened again, and a human brought in drinks. Dae-ho was surprised to find his cup contained a liquid very similar to a Takari beverage. "We took the liberty of synthesizing your preferred drink," Han said, noticing Dae-ho's surprise. "I hope it's acceptable." Dae-ho took a careful sip. It was perfect, exactly like the fermented fruit drink served on his homeworld. "Admiral Han," Dae-ho said seriously, "what happens now? My fleet is disabled. My Empress will expect a successful conquest or at least an honorable battle. I can offer neither." Han's expression became grave. "That brings us to the difficult part of our discussion. While we were talking, I received a message from our forces monitoring your fleet." He touched a control on the table, and a holographic image appeared. A massive Takari battleship firing weapons at a human defensive position. "Your Empress, it seems, grew impatient," Han said. "She sent a second fleet twice the size of yours. They arrived an hour ago and immediately opened fire." Dae-ho felt sick. Without proper intelligence or preparation, that's suicide. "They struck first, targeting our Jupiter defense platforms," Han continued. "We had no choice but to respond. The hologram changed to show the space battle. Takari ships, massive and powerful, fired their main weapons at the human defenses. But the human ships moved with incredible speed, evading most shots while their own weapons cut through Takari shields. "This is happening right now?" Daiho asked, watching as ship after ship of his empire was disabled or destroyed. Han nodded. "I'm sorry. We're trying to disable rather than destroy when possible, but your ships are fighting to the death." Daiho watched in silence. The battle was unlike any he had ever seen. The humans didn't use traditional formation combat like the Takari. Their ships moved independently, adapting constantly to Takari tactics. When the Takari adjusted their strategy, the humans would immediately change theirs. "Your ships," Daiho said, noticing something strange. "They move as if they know what our ships will do before they do it." "Human reaction times are faster than Takari," Han explained, "and our neural interfaces allow our pilots to control their ships with thought. But more importantly, we've studied how the Takari fight. We know your tactics, your strategies, your weaknesses." As Daiho watched, the battle turned into a complete rout. Takari ships were surrounded, weapons disabled, engines shut down. Some fought to the end and were destroyed. Others surrendered. "The battle is over," Han said, turning off the hologram. "Of the 1,000 ships in your Empress's second fleet, we've captured 847. The rest were destroyed when they refused to surrender." Daiho closed his eyes. The greatest defeat in Takari history, and he had been brought here to witness it. "What will you do with the captured crews?" he asked quietly. "They will be treated well," Han assured him, "and eventually returned to Takari space." "And me?" Daiho looked directly at Han. "Am I to be a prisoner of war?" Admiral Han stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city. "No, Admiral Daiho. You are to be a messenger." 1 year later, Admiral Daiho stood before Empress Suji in the Imperial Palace. The throne room was different now, smaller, less grand. Many of the precious metals and jewels that once decorated the walls had been removed, sold to fund the rebuilding of the Takari fleet. The Empress herself looked different. Her royal blue skin seemed paler, and her eyes held a weariness that had not been there before. The defeat by the humans had changed her. "Your report, Admiral?" Suji asked, her voice lacking its former sharpness. Daiho bowed. "The humans have agreed to the peace treaty, Your Majesty. They will return the last of our captured ships and crews next month." Suji nodded slowly. "And the border agreement?" "They accept our current territory. They ask only that we recognize their sovereign space and never again attempt to enter their systems without permission." The Empress was silent for a moment. Then she sighed. "We lost 1,500 ships, Admiral. The greatest defeat in our history. My ancestors would be ashamed." "With respect, Your Majesty," Daiho said carefully, "I believe they would be proud of how you have led our people through this difficult time." After returning from Earth as the human's messenger, Daiho had expected execution, or at least prison. Instead, the Empress had listened to his report about the humans' true power. She had put aside her pride and agreed to peace talks. "Tell me again," Suji said, leaning forward on her throne. "What makes these humans so formidable? How did a species from one small planet defeat the greatest empire in the galaxy?" Daiho had spent months on Earth, learning about humans while the peace treaty was negotiated. He had studied their history, their biology, their psychology. What he had learned still amazed him. "The humans evolved on what they themselves call a death world, Your Majesty," he explained. "Earth has extreme environments, burning deserts, frozen wastelands, high mountains, deep oceans. It has thousands of species that can kill with poison, claws, or teeth. It has natural disasters like nothing we have on our worlds, storms that destroy cities, volcanoes that bury lands in fire, earthquakes that swallow whole regions." Suji listened with growing interest. "Most intelligent species," Daiho continued, "evolve in gentle environments where they can focus on developing their minds. Humans developed intelligence while also developing physical abilities to survive their harsh world." He activated a small device and a hologram appeared showing human physical capabilities. They can survive without water for days, without food for weeks. They can heal from injuries that would kill most species. They can adapt to almost any environment. They can run long distances that would exhaust other species. They can carry heavy weights for miles. But physical strength alone doesn't win space battles, Suji pointed out. No, Your Majesty. It's their minds that make them truly dangerous. Humans think differently than we do. Deho changed the hologram to show images of human history. Look at their past. For thousands of years, they fought endless wars among themselves. They developed weapons, tactics, strategies. They learned to use every advantage, to adapt to any situation, to never give up even when defeat seemed certain. The hologram showed ancient human battles, then modern wars, then their early space exploration. Most species reach space after they've achieved peace on their homeworld, Deho said. Humans went to space while still fighting each other. They turned their warlike nature to exploring the most dangerous environments imaginable. They sent people to their moon with technology so primitive it's a miracle they survived. Suji studied the images with fascination. And now, are they still violent? They have found a balance, Your Majesty. They still train for war but prefer peace. They still compete but have learned to cooperate. They direct their aggression and determination toward exploration and discovery. Deho changed the hologram again. And they have a concept that is unique. The hologram showed images of humans helping each other, rescuing people from disasters, treating the sick, feeding the hungry. They call it compassion, Deho explained. They believe that helping others, even enemies, shows strength, not weakness. Suji looked confused. This makes no sense. In battle, you destroy your enemy. The humans see it differently. They believe that turning an enemy into a friend is a greater victory than destruction. Deho switched off the hologram. That's why they didn't destroy our fleet when they could have. That's why they offered peace instead of demanding surrender. The Empress was silent, thinking about this strange idea. There's one more thing, Your Majesty, Deho said. Something I learned that explains why so many species fear humans. Go on. Humans adapt faster than any species we've encountered. When the Draxi attacked them 800 years ago, humans were primitive. Within 50 years, they had copied and improved Draxi technology. Each time they were attacked, they grew stronger. They learned from every encounter. Deho stepped closer to the throne. Your Majesty, in the year I spent on Earth, I saw them develop 3 new technologies that we have no understanding of. Their rate of advancement is frightening. Suji stood from her throne and walked to a window overlooking the capital city. The setting sun cast long shadows across the buildings. What do you suggest, Admiral? She asked quietly. How should the Takari Empire respond to these humans? Deho chose his words carefully. I believe we should learn from them, Your Majesty, not just their technology but their ways of thinking. For 10,000 years the Takari have conquered. Perhaps it's time we explored other paths. To his surprise, Suji nodded. I have been thinking the same, Admiral. Our defeat was painful but perhaps necessary. It has shown us that there are forces in the galaxy we cannot overcome through strength alone. She turned to face him. I have made a decision. You will return to Earth, not as a messenger, but as our first ambassador. You will establish a permanent embassy there and begin cultural and scientific exchanges. Deho bowed deeply. It would be my honor, Your Majesty. 3 months later, Deho stood in a garden in Seoul, watching cherry blossoms fall like pink snow. Beside him stood Admiral Han, now his friend, as well as his diplomatic counterpart. Your people are adapting well, Han said, gesturing to where Takari scientists worked alongside human researchers in a nearby building. They seem eager to learn. The Empress was wise to embrace change, Deho replied. For too long, we saw only one path to greatness, conquest. You've shown us another way. Han smiled. And you've taught us much about your governance and social systems. It's a fair exchange. They walked in silence for a moment, enjoying the peaceful garden. I've studied all the warning beacons around your solar system, Deho said. They're not what I first thought. Oh? Han raised an eyebrow. I thought they were meant to protect other species from humans. But now I understand. They were placed to protect other species from themselves. Deho looked up at the falling blossoms. Any civilization foolish enough to attack Earth would likely be destroyed. Han nodded. Not by our choice, we prefer peace, but we will always defend ourselves. The most dangerous species in the galaxy, Deho observed, is not the one that conquers all others, but the one that has learned to conquer itself, Han finished with a smile. Above them, through the pink blossoms and blue sky, Deho could see stars beginning to appear as evening approached. Among those stars, the Takari Empire was changing, learning, growing, no longer through conquest, but through cooperation. And it had taken a species from a small blue planet, a species that other civilizations feared, to show them a better way. Peace between our worlds, Deho said, using the human custom of raising his cup in a toast. To peace, Han agreed, and to whatever comes next. The end.